The alarm woke Captain Dae-hyun Kim at 3 in the morning. He had been dreaming about Earth again, the Earth he never knew, the one that existed before the war. His grandfather told him stories about blue skies and green forests, but Dae-hyun only knew the gray wasteland that Earth had become. He pushed the dream away and focused on the flashing red light on his wall. Someone had crossed the boundary. Dae-hyun pulled on his uniform and ran to the command center of Outpost. Theta 9. The station floated at the edge of human space, watching the invisible line that separated humanity from the Valtheric Empire. For 15 years, Dae-hyun had commanded this outpost. For 15 years, nothing had happened. The Empire stayed on their side and humans stayed on theirs. That was the deal made 287 years ago, after the war that nearly destroyed humanity. Lieutenant Hana Yoon stood at the tactical station, her face lit by blue screens. She was young, only 28, but she was the smartest officer Dae-hyun had ever worked with. She pointed at the main display without looking at him. Empire science vessel, sir. It crossed the line 4 minutes ago, still moving deeper into our space. Dae-hyun felt his stomach tighten. This was what they trained for, what humanity had prepared for since the war ended. But hoping something never happens and dealing with it when it does are two different things. Start the warning message, he said. His voice sounded calm, which surprised him. Hana pressed a button. A recorded message began broadcasting toward the Empire ship. The message was old, recorded centuries ago, but it still worked. It spoke in 17 different alien languages, all saying the same thing. Turn back now. You have violated the Treaty of Silence. Leave immediately or face consequences. They waited. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. The Empire ship ignored the warning and continued moving through human space. They think we're extinct, Hana said quietly. They think this is just an old recording from a dead civilization. Dae-hyun nodded. That made sense. The Empire had not heard from humanity in almost 3 centuries. They probably assumed humans had killed themselves off or regressed to primitive technology. They were wrong. Activate Protocol 7, Dae-hyun ordered. Hana's fingers moved across her controls. Around the outpost, weapon systems that had slept for centuries came to life. Energy signatures bloomed on the Empire ship's sensors. Dae-hyun watched the tactical display and allowed himself a small smile. The Empire ship had finally noticed something was wrong. Sir, they're trying to scan us, Hana reported. Their sensors can't identify our weapon signatures. They don't recognize our technology. Good, deploy the fleet. 7 human warships appeared around the Empire vessel. They did not fly in from distant positions. They did not jump through hyperspace. They simply appeared, materializing from nothing, forming a perfect sphere around their target. This was human technology, developed in isolation, built with 287 years of focused innovation. The Empire had spread across thousands of star systems. Humanity had stayed in 47 systems and gone deep instead of wide. The Empire ship tried to power up its weapons. Nothing happened. It tried to raise shields. Nothing happened. It tried to turn its engines on and run. Nothing happened. We have complete control of their systems, sir, Hana said. She sounded pleased. They can breathe and see, but they can't fight or run. Dae-hyun opened a communication channel to the Empire ship. He had practiced this speech in his head for years, but now that the moment had come, he kept it simple. Empire vessel, this is Captain Dae-hyun Kim of the Terran Defense Force. You have violated the Treaty of Silence. Under the terms of that treaty, we have the right to destroy your ship. We choose not to. You will be escorted back to the boundary and released. But understand this clearly. You are the first and last warning your empire will receive. If any ship crosses this boundary again, it will not return. Tell your leaders do not cross into Terran space. The reply came in broken human language. The Empire commander sounded terrified. How are you doing this? Our systems are offline. You are controlling our ship from 7 light minutes away. This is impossible. Nothing is impossible, Dae-hyun replied. You simply haven't learned how to do it yet. We had 287 years to figure it out. Now move. You're leaving our space. The 7 human warships formed an escort pattern around the helpless Empire vessel. Slowly, carefully, they guided it back toward the boundary. The whole journey took 3 hours. Dae-hyun watched every minute of it, making sure nothing went wrong. When they reached the invisible line that marked the edge of human space, Hana released control of the Empire ship. Its systems came back online instantly. The Empire ship ran. Its engines burned at maximum power as it fled back toward Imperial territory. Daehyun did not blame them. If someone had taken control of his ship that easily, he would run too. Ambassador Taemin Choi entered the command center as the Empire ship disappeared from sensors. He looked angry. Taemin was humanity's diplomatic representative, stationed at the outpost to handle any contact with the Empire. He believed humans should seek peace with the Empire, should try to rejoin galactic civilization. He and Daehyun disagreed about almost everything. You just destroyed any chance of reconciliation, Taemin said. That was a science vessel. They were probably studying space phenomena, not invading. You could have talked to them, opened a dialogue, started building trust. Daehyun turned to face the ambassador. They crossed the line. The treaty is clear. We don't need to build trust with the Empire. We need them to respect our boundaries. That treaty was signed 3 centuries ago. Taemin argued. Times change. The Empire has changed. We should give them a chance. We gave them a chance, Daehyun said quietly. 287 years ago we asked for peace. They responded by bombing Earth until 4 billion people were dead. I haven't forgotten that. Neither has anyone else who lives in the underground cities or the space colonies. The Empire wanted to destroy us then. The treaty stopped them. That treaty is the only thing keeping us safe. Taemin opened his mouth to argue more, but Hana interrupted. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Luna Command. Admiral Jiwoo Park wants to speak with you immediately. Admiral Park was the supreme commander of all human military forces. She operated from a massive underground facility on Earth's moon. When she called, everyone listened. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. She was old, almost 70, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Captain Kim, good work today. You followed protocol perfectly. Thank you, Admiral. Now prepare for what comes next, Jiwoo continued. That Empire ship will report what happened. Their leaders will debate how to respond. Some will want revenge. Some will want to test us again. I'm raising our military readiness to DEFCON 2. If they cross the boundary again, we may not be able to show mercy twice. Daehyun felt cold. DEFCON 2 meant war was possible. It meant humanity was preparing to fight. Do you think they'll try again? Admiral Park was quiet for a moment. The Empire has forgotten what we're capable of. They think 287 years of silence means we're weak. Today, you reminded them we're not. But empires don't like being embarrassed. They don't like being told what they can and cannot do. So yes, Captain, I think they'll try again. And when they do, we'll show them exactly what humanity has become. The transmission ended. Daehyun looked at his crew. Hana was checking weapon systems. Taemin stood in the corner shaking his head. Outside the station, the 7 warships held their positions, watching the boundary. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment. They had rebuilt their civilization in secret, developed technology the Empire could not match, and created defenses that could stop any invasion. But all the preparation in the galaxy meant nothing if the Empire decided to test them again. Daehyun hoped the warning was enough. He hoped the Empire would respect the boundary and leave humanity alone. But hope was not a strategy. Admiral Park had taught him that. The only thing that kept humanity safe was strength and the willingness to use it. The message had been sent. Do not cross into Terran space. Now they would see if the Empire was smart enough to listen. The Grand Council chamber on Valtharian Prime was designed to impress. It was massive, with ceilings so high they disappeared into shadows. Representatives from 17 different alien species sat in curved rows, all facing the central platform where speakers addressed the council. Today the chamber buzzed with nervous energy. High Scholar Veltaran stood on the platform looking uncomfortable. Veltaran was the commander of the Pride of Nalthos, the science vessel that had crossed into human space. He had expected to find nothing, perhaps some old automated warnings from a dead civilization. Instead, he found himself facing technology he could not understand and weapons he could not fight. Now he stood before the most powerful leaders in the Empire, trying to explain what had happened. They took control of my ship, Veltaran said. His voice echoed in the huge chamber. Not through force, not through weapons. They simply took control. My weapons would not fire, my shields would not activate, my engines would not respond. 7 of their warships appeared around us, materializing from nothing. The energy signatures were unlike anything in our databases. Councillor Velkar, a representative of the Nalthorian military faction, stood up. He was large and intimidating, with 4 arms and armor like skin. This is absurd. You're telling us that a species we defeated 3 centuries ago has technology superior to ours? That they somehow developed faster than the combined scientific might of 17 species? I don't believe it. I am telling you what I witnessed, Terran replied stiffly. Believe it or not, the sensor logs are available for your review. The humans released us at the boundary. They could have destroyed us. They chose mercy instead. But they made their message very clear. Do not cross into their space again. Empress Velshara watched from her throne above the council floor. She was old, over 90 years by human counting, and she had ruled the empire for most of her life. Unlike the younger counselors, she remembered the stories her grandfather told about the first contact war with humanity. Those stories had given her nightmares as a child. Counselor Miraseth stood next. She was from the Lumerian species, scientists who preferred understanding to fighting. Perhaps we should consider what this means, she said carefully. Humanity has been silent for 287 years, completely silent. No transmissions, no trade requests, no diplomatic contact. That is not the behavior of a dying civilization. That is the behavior of a civilization that does not need anything from us. Grand Admiral Thalaron, commander of the Imperial fleet, approached the platform. He was a career military officer who had fought in dozens of campaigns. With respect, Counselor, silence proves nothing. We should send a proper military force to investigate. A battle group, perhaps 120 ships. We probe their defenses, gather real intelligence, and then we'll know if this demonstration was genuine or just an elaborate bluff. The debate continued for hours. Some counselors demanded immediate military action, calling the boundary incident an insult to imperial dignity. Others urged caution, suggesting diplomatic contact instead of confrontation. The Empire's intelligence. Director presented a report that made several counselors uncomfortable. We have documented 17 unusual events near human space over the past 3 centuries, the director explained. Strange energy readings, gravitational anomalies, 3 scout ships that disappeared without explanation. At the time, we dismissed these as sensor errors or navigation accidents. Now, viewing them as a pattern, they suggest humanity has been active. They may have been watching us while we assumed they were gone. That evening, after the council session ended, Counselor Miraseth requested access to the Imperial archives. She wanted to review classified records from the First Contact War. The archivist, an ancient being who had served the Empire for over 2 centuries, led her deep into the secure vaults beneath the palace. The war records were disturbing. Miraseth had known the basics. The Empire fought humanity for 17 years and eventually won. But the classified files revealed details that had never been made public. The casualty ratio was shocking. For every human killed, the Empire lost 12 soldiers. The siege of Earth should have ended in months. Instead, it took 3 years of constant bombardment. The final report, written by the Emperor who had signed the Treaty of Silence, contained a single sentence that made Miraseth go cold. We have not conquered humanity. We have merely given them time to prepare. She brought this information to the Empress the next morning. Velshara read the report in silence, then looked out the window at the capital city below. My grandfather wrote this the year before he died. He never spoke about the war publicly, but in private he had nightmares. He dreamed of Earth burning, and in those dreams the humans were not screaming. They were watching, calculating, waiting. Then we should not test them again, Miraseth said firmly. We should respect their boundary and seek diplomatic contact through proper channels. The Empress shook her head sadly. I agree with you, Counselor, but I am one voice among many. The Council wants action. They see humanity's warning as a challenge. Grand Admiral Thalaron has convinced enough counselors that this is a test we must pass. The vote will happen tomorrow, and I fear I know the result. The next day the Council voted. The chamber was packed with observers. The tension was thick enough to feel. Empress Velshara called for the vote on Grand Admiral Thalaron's proposal. Send a battle group into human space to conduct reconnaissance in force. 9 species voted in favor. 7 voted against. 1 abstained. The military action was approved. Counselor Miraseth stood one final time. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled. We are making a terrible mistake. We are about to test whether humanity's mercy was a sign of weakness or a final warning from a civilization we no longer understand. I pray we survive learning the answer. Grand Admiral Thalaron dismissed her concerns. He had spent 40 years in the military, fighting enemies across the galaxy. He had never lost a major engagement. He was confident that 120 warships, including 3 dreadnoughts, would be more than enough to handle whatever humanity had prepared. The battle group began assembling at the Vorton staging area, 3 jumps from the human boundary. Ships arrived from across the Empire, carriers, destroyers, cruisers, and the massive dreadnoughts that served as the backbone of Imperial power. Crews loaded weapons, engineers checked systems, intelligence officers briefed combat teams on what little they knew about human defenses. Thalaron stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The massive dreadnought was the pride of the Imperial fleet, armed with weapons that could shatter planets. Around him, 119 other warships held formation, waiting for his order. He felt confident. Humanity might have impressive technology, but technology alone did not win wars. Numbers mattered. Experience mattered. Discipline mattered. The Empire had all 3. Empress Vel-Shara sent a private message to the Admiral before the fleet departed. "Be careful, Thalaron. My grandfather underestimated humanity once. It cost us millions of lives and nearly destroyed our credibility. Do not make the same mistake." Thalaron read the message and deleted it. The Empress was old and cautious. She did not understand modern warfare. The humans had shown one trick with their science vessel capture. That did not mean they could stop a full battle group. He gave the order, and 120 Imperial warships jumped toward human space. On Earth, deep in the command bunker beneath Luna, Admiral Jiwoo Park received the intelligence report. Humanity's surveillance network had monitored the Empire's preparations. She knew exactly what was coming. 120 ships, arrival time in 17 days. She called an emergency meeting of the Terran Security Council. The council members appeared via holographic projection, their faces serious. Jiwoo did not waste time with pleasantries. "The Empire is coming." They did not heed our warning. "They're sending a battle group to test us. We have 17 days to prepare our response." Dr. Bora Kim, Director of Advanced Weapons Research, spoke first. "We could disable them like we did the science vessel. Take control of their systems and escort them out." Commander Jae-Sung Lee shook his head. "One ship was a warning. 120 ships is an invasion. We need to respond differently. We need to make sure they never try this again." Admiral Jiwoo listened to the debate, then made her decision. "We gave them mercy once. They responded with force. This time we show them the full extent of our capabilities. We activate Protocol Omega. Every ship in their battle group will be disabled simultaneously. We will control them completely. And we will make it clear. If they ever cross our boundary again, we will not be merciful." The Council voted unanimously. Protocol Omega was authorized. Across human space, defense systems activated. Weapons platforms powered up. The Phantom Fleet prepared for deployment. Humanity had spent 287 years preparing for this moment. Now they would show the Empire exactly what that preparation had created. The Empire was coming. Humanity was ready, and when the 2 forces met at the boundary, one of them would learn a lesson they would never forget. Grand Admiral Thalaron stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, watching the tactical display. His battle group had arrived at the boundary, 120 warships arranged in perfect formation. The ships gleamed in the starlight, a demonstration of Imperial power that should intimidate any enemy. 3 massive dreadnoughts formed the center, surrounded by carriers, cruisers, and destroyers. It was the largest military force the Empire had assembled in decades. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer announced. "We await your command." Thalaron studied the boundary line on his display. It was invisible, just coordinates in space, but it represented 3 centuries of separation between humanity and the Empire. He thought about the warnings. He thought about the Empress's caution. Then he dismissed both. The Empire could not appear weak. They needed to know what humanity was truly capable of. "All ships advance. Cross the boundary and establish position 3 light hours into human space. Maintain combat readiness. If they respond, we gather our intelligence and withdraw. Move." The battle group crossed the line. Engines burned as 120 Imperial warships pushed into territory they had not entered for 287 years. Sensors swept the area, looking for any sign of human forces. The tactical screen showed empty space. No ships, no weapons platforms. No defenses at all. "Sir, I'm not detecting any response," the sensor officer reported. "No ships approaching." No weapon signatures, no communications, nothing. 4 minutes passed. Then 5. Officers on the bridge began to relax slightly. Perhaps humanity had decided not to challenge them. Perhaps the science vessel incident had been their full capability, and they chose not to face a real battle group. At exactly 4 minutes and 18 seconds, every ship in the Imperial battle group went dark. It was not a complete power failure. Emergency lights activated immediately. Life support continued working. The crews could breathe and see. But weapons systems went offline. Shield generators shut down. Engines stopped responding to commands. Every critical combat system simply stopped working all at the same moment, across 120 different ships spread across millions of kilometers of space. Engineering report. Thalaron shouted. His calm confidence had vanished. Admiral, the reactors are working. We're generating power normally, but the power is not reaching weapons, shields, or engines. It's like something is blocking the connections. I've never seen anything like this, the communications officer interrupted. Sir, we're receiving a transmission. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, overriding our comm systems. I can't stop it, a voice filled the bridge. It was female, speaking perfect Valthric with a calm, cold tone. Imperial Battle Group, you have violated the Treaty of Silence. You were warned. You chose to ignore that warning. You crossed the boundary believing you could test us. You were wrong. Thalaron recognized the voice from intelligence briefings. Admiral Jiwoo Park, Supreme Commander of Human Forces. He tried to respond, but his communications were still overridden. The human continued speaking. Your vessels are now under our control. Your weapons will not fire. Your shields will not activate. Your engines will not respond. You are in our space, and while you are here, you exist at our discretion. We are broadcasting this message from 1,147 different locations simultaneously. You cannot stop it. You cannot fight it. You cannot escape it. The tactical officer checked his sensors and went pale. Admiral, she's telling the truth. The transmission is coming from everywhere. I'm detecting over 1,000 separate broadcast points, all perfectly synchronized. Admiral Park continued. You have 3 options. Option 1, we escort you back to the boundary and release you. Your ships will be returned unharmed. Your crews will be unharmed. You will leave with proof that our warning was not a bluff. This is what we prefer. Thalaron's pride burned. He tried to issue orders for manual override of his systems. His engineering crews reported that manual overrides were not working. Every computer core on every ship had been compromised. They were completely helpless. Option 2. You attempt to resist. If you choose this, we will demonstrate why resistance is futile. We will systematically shut down every system on your ships one by one, until you drift helpless in space. Your crews will survive, but you will wait weeks for rescue. You will return to your empire as a lesson in humility. The sensor officer gasped. Admiral, contacts. Multiple contacts appearing around us. On the tactical display, hundreds of new objects materialized. They had not been there a moment ago. Now they surrounded the Imperial battle group in a perfect sphere. The computer counted them. 847 objects, each one roughly the size of a frigate. They had appeared from nowhere, as if they had been invisible and simply chose to reveal themselves. Option 3. Admiral Park's voice became colder. You refuse both previous options and attempt to fight. If you choose this, we respond with lethal force. Every ship will be destroyed. Every life will be lost. We will not take prisoners. We will not accept surrender once combat begins. This is not a threat, Grand Admiral Thalaron. This is operational protocol. You have 60 seconds to choose. The bridge was silent. Every officer stared at their displays, watching the countdown. 50 seconds. 40 seconds. Thalaron's mind raced. He could choose to fight, to call their bluff, to prove the Empire would not be intimidated. But what if it was not a bluff? His entire battle group was helpless. 800 autonomous platforms surrounded them. The humans had taken control of his fleet in less than 5 minutes. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. He thought about the Empress's warning. He thought about the classified reports from the First Contact War. He thought about his pride versus the lives of thousands of crew members under his command. We accept option 1. Thalaron said quietly. We will withdraw. The response was immediate. Power returned to the Imperial ships, but not to all systems. Engines came back online. Maneuvering thrusters responded. But weapons and shields remained offline. The 847 platforms began moving. forming an escort formation around the battle group. "You will be guided back to the boundary," Admiral Park announced. "Follow the designated course. Do not deviate. Do not attempt to power weapons. Do not attempt to scan the platforms. When you reach the boundary, full control of your vessels will be restored. You have our word." The journey back took 3 hours. It was the longest 3 hours of Thalaron's life. His mighty battle group moved slowly through space, escorted by platforms they could not fight, controlled by an enemy they could not see. His officers worked in silence, their confidence shattered. When they reached the boundary, something remarkable happened. The moment the last ship crossed the line, every system on every Imperial vessel came back online simultaneously. Weapons, shields, full power, complete control. The restoration was so precise, so perfectly timed, that it was more frightening than the initial shutdown. Thalaron immediately ordered maximum combat readiness, expecting a human pursuit. None came. The 847 platform simply stopped at the boundary line, holding position. Then, as if to make a final point, they all vanished from sensors. Not destroyed, not retreating. Just gone, disappearing so completely that Imperial sensors could not detect even a hint of their presence. One final transmission came through, broadcast to every ship in the fleet. "Grand Admiral, you came here with 120 warships to test our capabilities. You leave with 120 warships not because you were strong enough to fight us, but because we chose mercy. Do not test us again. The next force that crosses this boundary will not receive options. They will simply cease to exist. Tell your Empire, do not cross into Terran space." The transmission ended. Thalaron sat in his command chair, staring at the empty space where the platforms had been. His tactical officer approached cautiously. "Admiral, what are your orders?" "Set course for Valtherian Prime, maximum speed. I need to report to the Empress." Thalaron's voice was hollow. "And begin compiling every sensor log, every tactical reading, every piece of data we collected. The Council needs to understand what we just faced." As the battle group limped back toward Imperial space, Thalaron began writing his report. He had been a military officer for 40 years. He had fought dozens of campaigns against dozens of enemies. He had never been defeated. But today, for the first time in his career, he had been completely outmatched. The humans had not just beaten him, they had made him irrelevant. On Earth, in the command bunker beneath Luna, Admiral Jiwoo Park watched the Imperial fleet retreat. Around her, the Terran Security Council monitored the operation through holographic displays. Commander Jae-Sung Lee spoke first. "0 casualties. 0 shots fired. Objective achieved. They'll be back," Dr. Borak Kim said. "Not militarily, but they'll try diplomatic contact now. They'll want to understand what they faced." Admiral Jiwoo nodded. "Good. Let them come with words instead of weapons. We've shown them that we can defend our space. Now we wait to see if they're smart enough to respect it." She looked at the tactical display showing the boundary, the invisible line that separated two civilizations. 3 centuries ago, they crossed this line and destroyed Earth. Today, they crossed it again and learned that humanity remembers. We gave them mercy twice. There will not be a third time. The Grand Council chamber was silent as Grand Admiral Thalaron finished his report. He had spoken for nearly an hour, describing in detail what had happened at the boundary. The sensor logs were displayed on massive screens around the chamber, showing the moment 120 Imperial warships lost all power simultaneously. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable. No one wanted to speak first. Finally, Empress Velshara stood. Her voice was cold and controlled, but everyone could hear the anger beneath it. "Counselor Velkar, you advocated loudest for this military action. You called humanity's warning a bluff. You convinced this council that 120 warships would be sufficient. What do you say now?" Velkar, the massive Nalthorian warrior who had been so confident weeks ago, stood slowly. He looked diminished somehow despite his size. "Your Majesty, I was wrong. We all were wrong. The humans are not what we remembered. They are not what we imagined. I recommend immediate cessation of all military operations near their space." Dr. Thelvos, the Empire's leading physicist, requested permission to speak. The Empress nodded and he approached the central platform. "Your Majesty, Council members, I have analyzed the sensor data from the incident. What humanity demonstrated is not merely advanced technology. It appears to operate on principles we do not understand." He activated a display showing complex equations and graphs. They controlled 120 ships simultaneously across dozens of light minutes. That requires communication faster than light, which our science says is impossible. The 847 platforms that appeared around our fleet were completely invisible to every sensor we have, not just cloaked but fundamentally undetectable. When they released control of our ships at the boundary, the restoration was perfect to the microsecond. This level of precision suggests they have solved problems in quantum computing and physics that we have not even begun to address. Counselor Miraseth stood next. Unlike the others, she did not look surprised or frightened. She looked sad. I warned this council. I showed you the classified reports from the First Contact War. I told you that humanity was not defeated, merely choosing survival. You did not listen. Now you have learned what 287 years of isolation and focus can achieve. She activated another display showing a timeline. For the past month, my team has been investigating humanity's silence. We reviewed every intelligence report, every sensor anomaly, every unexplained event near their space. When we plot these chronologically, a pattern emerges. Humanity's technology did not advance gradually. It occurred in phases, each separated by approximately 30 to 40 years. This suggests coordinated planned development. Every resource, every scientist, every innovation directed toward a single goal. Ensure that what happened to Earth never happens again. Another display appeared, showing communication data. More disturbing, we found evidence that humanity has been monitoring us. Statistical analysis of our encrypted communications shows anomalies. Messages sometimes arrive faster than they should. Data occasionally corrupts in patterns that are not random. 3 major military operations mysteriously failed due to equipment malfunction just before they would have approached the human boundary. Coincidence, or evidence that humanity has been inside our systems for decades? The council chamber erupted in shocked conversation. The idea that humanity had been infiltrating Imperial systems without detection was terrifying. If they could control warships remotely, what else could they control? Communications? Power grids? Defense networks? Empress Velshara called for order. When the chamber quieted, she spoke directly to Miraseth. What do you recommend, Counselor? Diplomatic contact, Miraseth replied immediately. Not through normal channels. Humanity has ignored our standard diplomatic messages for 3 centuries. We need to demonstrate genuine intent. I propose that Your Majesty personally lead a delegation to the boundary. An unarmed vessel carrying no weapons, making no threats, requesting only conversation. If humanity is to take us seriously, we must show that this is not another military probe or intelligence operation. The suggestion caused immediate protest. Several counselors argued that sending the Empress into potential danger was unacceptable. Others said it showed weakness, that the Empire's leader should never have to request an audience with a species they had once defeated. But Grand Admiral Thalaron surprised everyone by supporting the proposal. I commanded the fleet that tested their boundaries, Thalaron said. I saw what they can do. If we do not establish communication now, we risk continued escalation. The humans showed restraint twice. They could have destroyed my battle group. They chose not to. That suggests they prefer peace but are prepared for war. We should accept the opportunity they're giving us. Empress Velshara considered for a long moment. Then she made her decision. I will go. Counselor Miraseth will accompany me, along with Dr. Thelvos and Grand Admiral Thalaron. We will take an unarmed diplomatic vessel. We will approach the boundary, stop at the designated safe distance and request conversation. If humanity refuses, we will withdraw and never attempt contact again. But if they accept, we will negotiate a new understanding. The vote was close, but the mission was approved. Preparation began immediately. An old diplomatic courier vessel was stripped of every weapon, every defensive system, every piece of equipment that could be seen as threatening. It was renamed the Empress's Grace and outfitted with advanced communication systems designed specifically for this mission. On Earth, humanity's surveillance network detected the Empire's preparations. Admiral Ji Woo Park called another meeting of the Terran Security Council. The holographic projections of council members appeared in her command center. She presented the intelligence report showing the Empress herself would lead the diplomatic mission. This is either genuine diplomatic intent or an elaborate intelligence operation, Ji Woo said. We need to decide how to respond. Commander Jae-Sung Lee argued for rejection. We've shown our strength twice. Opening dialogue now suggests we want something from them. It weakens our position. Ambassador Sujin Park, the Admiral's sister, argued the opposite. This is what we've been waiting for. The Empire acknowledging that they cannot simply ignore us or test us. The Empress herself coming to request dialogue. This is recognition of our sovereignty. Dr. Bora Kim presented a third option. Accept the meeting but use it to deliver a stronger message. We've demonstrated capability through defensive actions. Now we can explain why attacking us would be suicide. Show them not just what we can do, but why they should never try to test us again. The debate continued for days. Finally, Admiral Jiwoo made her decision. We accept the meeting, but on our terms. The Empress's vessel may approach the boundary but must maintain a distance of 1 light minute. I will represent humanity but not in person. We will use quantum-linked holographic communication. The message: humanity will talk, but from a position of absolute security. The response was transmitted to the Empire through official channels. For the first time in 287 years, humanity sent a message to Imperial space. Your request for diplomatic contact is acknowledged. The Empress's Grace may approach coordinates, transmitted. Maintain distance of 1 light minute from the boundary. A representative of humanity will make contact via holographic link. Any deviation from these terms will result in immediate termination of communication. The Empire received the message with mixed reactions. Some saw it as humanity accepting negotiation. Others saw it as humanity dictating terms. But everyone understood what it really meant. Humanity was willing to talk, but only as equals, not as subordinates. The Empress's Grace departed 3 days later. Empress Velshara sat in the small command cabin with her delegation. As they approached the boundary, she thought about her grandfather's warnings, about the war that nearly destroyed both civilizations, about the 3 centuries of silence that followed. She thought about what she would say to these humans who had evolved in isolation into something the Empire no longer understood. The ship reached the designated coordinates and stopped, precisely 1 light minute from the boundary. They broadcast their message, a formal request for negotiation, carrying the seal of the Empress, offering no threats, demanding no concessions, simply asking for conversation. For 17 minutes, nothing happened. The delegation waited in tense silence. Then, at exactly 18 minutes, a holographic figure appeared in the center of the command cabin. It was a human woman in military uniform, her expression neutral, her posture confident. Admiral Jiwoo Park had arrived. Empress Velshara stood and stepped forward. This was the moment that would determine whether 3 centuries of separation ended in understanding or escalated into something worse. She took a deep breath and spoke the words she had been practicing for days. Admiral Park, I am Empress Velshara of the Valtheric Empire. I come unarmed, carrying no threats, seeking only understanding. My empire violated your treaty. We were wrong. We tested your boundaries and learned a harsh lesson. I am here to ensure that lesson leads to wisdom, not to further conflict. Admiral Jiwoo studied the Empress for a long moment before responding. Her next words would set the tone for everything that followed. The future of 2 civilizations hung in the balance, waiting for her answer. Admiral Jiwoo Park's holographic form stood motionless in the center of the Empress's Grace command cabin. Her expression revealed nothing as she studied Empress Velshara. The silence stretched for several seconds before the Admiral finally spoke. Your empire tested our boundaries twice, Empress. The first time we warned you. The second time we controlled your fleet and returned it unharmed. You call this a harsh lesson. We call it mercy. Do you understand the difference? The Empress nodded slowly. She had expected this directness. I understand, Admiral. My grandfather negotiated the original treaty with your predecessors. His private journals spoke of a species that fought with calculating fury. He wrote that humanity's negotiators were not defeated. They were choosing survival over vengeance. Is that still true? Your grandfather was perceptive, Jiwoo replied. Yes, humanity chose survival. We rebuilt our civilization in isolation, developed our technology without interference, and prepared for the day your empire might return. That day came. We were ready. But here is what your grandfather did not write in his public reports. Humanity was not losing that war. We were learning. Grand Admiral Thalaron, standing beside the Empress, could not stay silent. You were losing. Earth was bombarded. Your fleets were shattered. We won that war. The holographic admiral turned to face him. Grand Admiral, you won battles. Every victory you achieved taught us how you fought. Every system you conquered showed us your weaknesses. Every peace offer you made revealed your political divisions. By the war's end, we understood your empire better than your empire understood itself. The treaty was not our surrender. It was our analysis showing that continued fighting would cost both sides more than either could afford. We offered you peace. You took it believing you had won. Counselor Miraseth spoke next, her voice careful. Admiral, what happened during those 287 years? How did you develop technology so far beyond ours? For the first time, Admiral Jiwoo's expression softened slightly. We had something your empire never had, Counselor. Singular purpose. Your empire expanded across thousands of systems, governed 17 different species, managed competing priorities in politics. Humanity had one goal: ensure that what happened to Earth never happens again. Every resource, every scientist, every innovation was directed toward that objective. We did not advance beyond you because we are superior. We advanced beyond you because we were focused. Dr. Thelvo stepped forward. The technology you demonstrated operates on principles we do not understand. The system overrides the quantum communication, the cloaking that defeats our sensors. Are you saying you developed entirely new physics? Not new physics, Jiwoo explained. Just physics you stopped investigating because you did not need to. Your empire expanded through space using reliable, proven technology. Humanity could not expand. We were trapped in 47 systems, so we went deeper instead of wider. We explored quantum mechanics at scales you never considered necessary. We developed computation systems that merge consciousness with machine intelligence. We created materials that do not exist naturally in the universe. 3 centuries of isolation, Doctor. That is a long time to solve problems you did not know existed. The Empress had heard enough to understand the situation. Admiral, I came here to negotiate a new understanding. The old treaty is clearly obsolete. Your warning was clear. What would it take for our civilizations to coexist peacefully? The holographic display shifted suddenly. A tactical projection appeared, showing the region of space around human and Imperial territory. The Imperial delegation stared in shock. Beyond the 47 systems they believed humanity occupied, hundreds of markers indicated human presence. Outposts, mining operations, research stations, terraforming projects. The sphere of human influence was 5 times larger than the Empire had believed. This is human space, Empress, Admiral Jiwoo stated calmly. Not 47 systems, this. For 150 years we have been expanding into the void behind our boundary. Not toward your empire, but away from it. We did not announce this expansion because the treaty did not require us to. Now you know. Grand Admiral Thalaran did quick mental calculations. If humanity had been expanding for 150 years with advanced technology into unclaimed space, the implications were staggering. How many systems do you control? 234 colonized systems, 847 resource extraction operations, 1,400 research stations, and growing, Jiwoo answered without hesitation. We will continue expanding away from your empire. We have no interest in your territory. But understand, every expansion increases our defensive capabilities. Every new system becomes part of our network. You faced 47 systems when you tested our boundary. In another century, you would face 500. The Empress saw the strategy clearly. Humanity was not preparing to attack the Empire. They were making attacking them so difficult that the Empire would never consider it. What do you want, Admiral? You are showing us this for a reason. What are your terms? The projection shifted again, displaying a document. The Treaty of Mutual Sovereignty. Simple terms. First, your empire formally recognizes human space as sovereign territory. We recognize imperial space the same way. No boundary violations by either side. Second, limited trade and cultural exchange through designated ports only. No unrestricted travel. Third, military non-aggression pact. Neither side interferes in the other's conflicts. Fourth, joint research initiative on mutually beneficial technologies. Limited and carefully controlled. Both sides learn without compromising security. Fifth, regular diplomatic contact through official channels. No more centuries of silence. Counselor Miraseth studied the terms displayed on her datapad. This is reasonable. More than reasonable. Why would you offer this when you clearly have the superior position? Admiral Jiwoo's expression became grave. Because the galaxy is larger than your empire and humanity combined, Counselor. Our expansion has detected signals from deep space. Signals that neither your species nor mine originated. Something else is out there, something we do not understand. Humanity does not want your empire as an enemy. We want you as a buffer, a neutral party that occupies the space between us and whatever lies beyond. This revelation changed everything. The delegation had come expecting to discuss boundaries and peace terms. Instead, they learned that humanity was concerned about something beyond the empire. Something that made them offer peace despite holding every advantage. The Empress made her decision quickly. I will take this treaty to the Grand Council. I cannot guarantee they will accept it, but I will advocate for approval. The Empire has been humbled by this experience. Perhaps that humility is overdue. You have 1 standard month to deliberate, Admiral Jiwoo said. After that, humanity will consider the offer withdrawn. We will continue our expansion, and the next time your empire tests our boundaries, we will not be merciful. This is the only diplomatic overture humanity will make, Empress. I suggest you convince your council to accept it. The holographic projection faded. The Imperial delegation sat in silence for several minutes, processing what they had learned. Finally, Grand Admiral Thalaron spoke. That signal she mentioned. Something else out there. Do we have any intelligence on this? Dr. Thelvos pulled up data on his pad. There are anomalies in our deep space observations. Strange patterns in background radiation. Gravitational fluctuations that do not match natural phenomena. 3 instances of what might be structured transmissions from beyond explored space. We classified them as sensor errors. Humanity apparently took them seriously. The Empress looked out at the stars through the viewport. We came here to understand humanity's capabilities. Instead, we learned that they are preparing for something that concerns them more than we do. Something that made them offer peace when they could have demanded submission. The Empress's grace turned and began the journey back to Valtharion Prime. The delegation would present the treaty to the Grand Council. The debate would be intense, but everyone aboard the ship understood that the galaxy had changed. Humanity was no longer the defeated species from 3 centuries ago. They were something new, something powerful, and something that saw threats the Empire had not even noticed. 3 weeks later, after heated debates and careful analysis, the Grand Council voted. 15 species voted to accept the Treaty of Mutual Sovereignty. 2 voted against. The treaty was approved. For the first time in 287 years, humanity and the Empire would have formal, peaceful relations. The signing ceremony took place at the boundary, in neutral space. The Empire constructed a temporary diplomatic station. Humanity sent no physical presence. Admiral Jiwoo Park appeared via holographic projection, alongside Ambassador Sujin Park, humanity's new diplomatic representative. The signatures were recorded. The treaty became official. Ambassador Sujin spoke for humanity. Her words were broadcast across both civilizations. Today marks the beginning of a new era. For 287 years, humanity and the Empire have existed in silence, separated by tragedy and distrust. That era ends now. We do not sign this treaty because we have forgotten the past. We sign it because we choose the future. Humanity seeks no revenge, no reparations, no acknowledgement of guilt. We seek only what we have always sought: the right to exist, to grow, and to determine our own destiny.